Absolutely, and that's probably the best thing that could have happened, because had it been a continuation of the decades-long inching towards socialism, I doubt that enough of us would have become aware of what is happening. But he's done it. Now, what I thought he was going to do right away was to use the instrumentality of agencies like the BATF to legislate without going through the Congress, making stuff up just like you've reported just now. What happened in Austin is the bureaucrats just making up the law as they go. And that means, yeah, that's going to draw attention. That gets people excited. But there's a little bit of distance between a bureaucrat who's there before, during, and after Obama's in office and Obama himself. There's a little bit of a disconnect. And I would have thought that they'd be doing this from day one, and especially going after one of his favorite enemies, the gun owner. But here it is, better late than never, I guess, in Obama's view. And so they're coming with the bureaucracy to raise havoc. And this is an expansion of things such as happened to Olufsen, such as happened to various manufacturers that can't get licensing for products because of the arbitrariness of the Bureau. This is the kind of more overt evil that I was expecting to see earlier, and it's finally here.
Very, very exciting to know that they're putting everything they can on the fire to try to burn up the Constitution, but it's really only backfiring on them. I agree with you. The great danger is, unless it's chutzpah or bravado or whatever it is, or hubris, I mean, maybe they're right. Maybe they're going to get away with it. I mean, or are they just that ham-fisted?
I think it is the latter. I really think they believe their own propaganda, that they are right, anybody else is evil, that the people actually, when this stuff is crammed down our throat, will say, oh, that wasn't mud after all. That really tastes good. I think to a certain extent they really believe it. They also feel, evidently, a sense of urgency. They know that they're not going to have and they knew going in that they weren't going to have their supermajority, but for this session of the Congress, this term of the Congress, these 2 years. And so they're going for the gold while they can get away with it. And evidently, they don't really think they'll be defeated. And even if they are, well, devil take the hindmost. They're going to grab the power while they can. What they're not counting on is that they have become, in a sense, the president has fulfilled one of his campaign promises. He has brought us together. In Massachusetts, for example, a Democrat mayor of Quincy, it's a blue-collar industrial town. People work for a living there, and they're union-oriented, and they vote Democrat. He's been a Democrat there for 6 terms, whatever a term is, at least 2 years. And he came out and endorsed Brown on the basis of the Obamacare proposals. They don't want socializing.
Which is so outrageous. I mean, we read the bills months ago. People couldn't believe us. I would read the bills, the House and Senate version, and listeners thought I was lying when it said 5 years in jail, $250,000 fines, taking money out of your paycheck, taxing your health plans, which aren't Cadillac. I mean, a lot of families do spend, $12,000 a year or whatever. I mean, this is cutting Medicare and Medicaid and raising taxes. I mean, This is a ripoff.
I agree with the observation that was made that when we see things like the mayor of Quincy doing what he did, it may well represent a realignment once again of, call them the Reagan Democrats, people who are not philosophically conservative, but they have an economic interest in being left alone. And that's going to coincide with a Republican if the Republican is perceived as working to leave them alone. It's pretty simple.
Exactly. And then getting away from rhinos, because the Republicans know if it took only 6 or 7 months for Obama to get the lowest approval rating in history for a president in the first year, if a Republican doesn't immediately deliver and start slashing anti-gun laws and big government,
right,
they're going to be out instantly. And so it's not just a realignment towards conservatism. It's a realignment of libertarian constitutionalists completely away. I mean, the pendulum is swinging away from big government.
If the Republicans were to gain control of the House, there's a number of things that they could do, even with President Hussein still in the White House. They could, for example, take the BATF budget, and they could say none of these funds may be used to enforce gun show actions, or whatever would be the most technically correct legal language, but you get the drift. So,
and you will investigate guns after a crime is committed. You will not go harass old ladies.
You make them follow a published list of procedures, which they don't do. They don't publish, and so they keep changing from one trial to the next as to what was the determining factor, blah, blah, blah. None of these funds can be used for that. And so the trick would be, don't do it the way Newt Gingrich did back in '95, where you play chicken with the whole federal government budget. Now, some of us probably wouldn't mind if it all went down, but you don't say, okay, we're just not going to raise the debt limit, and that means you have to shut the government down. Well, that politically, it just isn't going to fly. But you can, if you get to work right away, you could send a budget for the Treasury Department with the amputations in there that you want for BATF. Well, actually, they're under Justice now, excuse me. But a Justice Department budget chopped up here, there, but, leaving it essentially intact, just a lot of fingers and arms and legs missing. He can either veto it himself, in which case the ball's in his court, and who cares if the Justice Department gets shut down, or he'll accept the amputations.
The problem is the BATF will just go firebomb another church to scare everybody into giving them funds.
Well, you can only have one Waco at a time, and as a lot of folks have said, probably won't be for free the next time either. And what's happening at the state level is also encouraging. The governor of Virginia, he's right of center, but he's no fighter. First thing he did when he got elected was say, DOA if socialized medicine passes in Washington, not in my state.
And now we've got first 14 and then 18 state attorney generals saying this is not just weights and measures. It's unconstitutional because of the socialism.
Absolutely.
But you can't selectively enforce certain rules on certain states. This thing is dead even if they pass it, and it looks like they may not even get that done. Larry Pratt, up there on Capitol Hill, I want to get your final take on that when we come back.